SBI VC trade confirms USDC is go for Japan. Now, for some of you guys, this might be old news. For some of you guys, you weren't even aware about it. For a lot of you guys, you're like, well, why does this even matter? And we're going to talk about all these key things here in a bit. So you see this posted here. I think that's pretty much big enough for the most part. A lot of this, of course, is different language. But getting into this, here's the translation, basically speaking, and a tad bit bigger, especially if you're Boomer F and Sooner sitting on his couch watching from the couch. I know, I always do that, don't I? All right, so here it is. And yes, you do see it plain as day. And I think it's definitely worth pointing out. All right. So the announcement, well, for one, here it is. It is regarding the conclusion, if you will, of a basic agreement for a comprehensive business alliance between just that, SBI Holdings and Circle, a U.S. company that we know that issues, of course, USDC. Now, Circle was in the past referred to as, Stellar USDC, but the bottom line is still the same thing. Now, in regards to this, it says in this initiative, SBI VC Trade plans to handle USDC after registering as an electronic payment means transaction business. That's a mouthful, is it not? Subject to regulatory approval and aims to distribute USDC domestically. This is something that we've all been paying attention to for the longest time. When is Japan going to unban, USDC, Circle, and also Tether, USDT? Because if anything, that's going to increase a tremendous amount of volume flowing into Japan, but especially for a beloved asset as in Jasmy. Getting more into this, you see the article posted here, SBI Holdings times Circle. All right, so it's definitely significant, and I wanted, of course, to bring that to you guys and so on. Getting more into this, I want to show just a tad bit more. And Mr. Steingraber has a little bit more that I think we should pay attention to. So here's the next part of this. And let's pull this up for a second. Go ahead and refresh this real quick. Yes, here we go. SBI Holdings partners with Circle to pioneer digital currency innovation in Japan, of course, with Circle, banking and Web3 services. Now, we understand, wow, Web3 services. There's a lot that's part of the whole thing of Web3, but, think of, especially when it comes to Jasmy, what kind of opportunity that's going to create for them. Now, if you wonder how long ago this was of course, reported on November 27th, so not that long ago. I wish I could have brought, to you guys the next day, but, had some interruptions and so on. But yeah, look at this for a second. Here's some highlights. So global technology firm, issuer, USDC, world's largest regulated stablecoin, true. To circulate USDC stablecoins, establish a banking relationship and promote the use of Circle's Web3 services in Japan. Now, currently speaking, you might not have seen a tremendous amount of volume come in yet. I'm telling you, word will get to where it needs to be. And if anything, word of mouth spreads like fire, like wildfire. And basically speaking, you will over time start to see more volume. This is a big win for not just, Circle, but especially for us being Jasmy holders. A little bit more about this. I do want to talk about this. As a global leader in the digital asset economy, the Japanese government revised the Payment Services Act, which is called the Revised Payment Services Act, on, of course, June 3rd, 2023. Now, we did point that out a few months ago. Some people feel it's like, it's a nothing burger. Yeah, keep in mind, there's time that needs to develop to get to where we're at right now. The regulation is expected to stimulate the issuance and circulation of stablecoins in Japan and advance Japan's transition towards a Web3 economy. Look at Jasmy's position in regards to a Web3 economy, Web3 cloud storage, all sorts of big things happening, but especially when it comes to this new concept of smart cities, Society 5.0, the whole shebang. The Revised Payment Services Act, listen to this, establishes collateralized stablecoins that are backed by, of course, legal tender. Circle's USDC goes as a step further because they are backed 100% by highly liquid cash and cash equivalent assets and are always redeemable, of course, to a 1-1 for US dollars. USDC reserves are held separately from Circle's operating funds at leading financial institutions for the benefit of USDC holders. And as of the 17th of November, not that long ago, there has been over 12.7 trillion of on-chain USDC transactions. That is all worth pointing out to. Now, a little bit more in regards to Japan. Check out the bottom. The companies have signed an MOU underpinning the work ahead, which includes SBI Group that we talked about many different occasions over the course of a year, and Circle, initially working towards the circulation of USDC and expanding the use, of course, stablecoins in Japan. This is going to be a massive win, not just for, again, Circle, but a bigger win for Jasmy because it creates so much more volume compared to what we had before. The unbanning of one particular stablecoin, as in Circle, is a big move in the right direction. Sure, we want to also get Tether on board, but look, at this a little bit more. This bottom part, to circulate USDC stablecoins with Japan, SBI, VC Trade, and so on are going to be involved in this. But look what it also says. They are committed as an SBI group and Circle to properly complying with stablecoin related regulations. So when we talk about pairings and the whole situation behind that and why it's so significant, well, you already have Jasmy where it's at as we speak that have already met those complying regulations. Now you also have, I guess you could say, Circle with Stellar and so on, also right there as well. That's big. Now I'm going to jump back to a little bit more that we have in regards to this because it doesn't just end right here. You got to keep in mind that, like, for instance, there's things that we should definitely point out more. So in my own notes, okay, you got to bear with me on this because I've been with you guys in a few days, so I might be a little rusty. The unbanning of, for instance, Circle, right? Of course, even Tether for that matter. Bottom line, like, what would be so important? What is the significance in regards to Jasmy? Well, we got into a little bit about the whole thing about volume, but there's so much more to it than just volume. For one, for Jasmy, it means that you're going to see increased liquidity, trading volume, of course. The unbanning of USDC, for instance, will likely lead to increased liquidity and trading volume, of course, for our beloved asset, which is Jasmy, and of course, on Japanese exchanges. This is because, for instance, these particular coins, as in USDC and even Tether, are some of the most popular foreign stable coins, even in Japan, even though there was a ban. And of course, they're available to make everything easier for Japanese traders to buy and sell Jasmy. Of course, that's a win in the win column. On top of this, you have to keep in mind there's going to be improved visibility and accessibility, and that's what we want. Jasmy, of course, will be more visible and accessible to Japanese investors with the unbanning of course, Circle, and especially if we get the whole thing of Tether on the way as well. This is because Japanese investors are, of course, familiar with Circle, and they are more likely to invest in Jasmy if they can use these stablecoins. Duh, no kidding. Another thing I want to point out in regards to the whole thing with Jasmy. Enhanced reputation and credibility. The unbanning of these particular stablecoins will also enhance Jasmy's reputation and just that, credibility. Because let's face it, a lot of that has been into question. But this is because Japanese regulators have taken cautious approaches to just that, cryptocurrencies, and their decision to unban Circle suggests that they believe Jasmy is a legitimate project with a strong future. Going through all the hoops of proper regulation and meeting that criteria and understanding standards and all these things that we follow is a big deal for many reasons that we've outlined. Now, what about the whole thing for Japan? We can talk your ear off about the whole thing of Jasmy all we want. It is very, very beneficial, of course, to Japan. So for one, you're going to have faster and cheaper international remittances. The unbanning, of course, the circle will make it faster and cheaper for Japanese residents to send and receive money internationally. Again, a massive win in the win column. This is because stablecoins can be used to make cross-border payments without the need of traditional intermediaries like, for instance, banks. Right, no kidding. What about this whole thing about adoption? Great question. The unbanning, of course, of Circle is likely to lead to the increased adoption of course, crypto in itself, not just Jasmy in Japan. But where Jasmy stands as being the first regulatory compliant cryptocurrency in Japan, that's why it gets the term Bitcoin is Japan, is massive because, for instance, Circle is convenient and allows an accessible way to buy and sell crypto, and it makes it so that availability will make it easier for the Japanese people to get involved in just that, the cryptocurrency market. So these are enablers of mass adoption. Another thing I want to get into before we wrap this up, another key thing. Will this boost the economy of Japan? The answer is absolutely yes. The increased adoption of cryptocurrencies could also boost the Japanese economy because cryptocurrencies can be used, of course, for payments, goods, services, etc., etc. They could also be used to attract new businesses and those businesses that want to invest into Japan. If you saw that 2015 video that the late, great Shinzo Abe was talking about, let's incentivize American companies to invest into Japan, and we're going to come up with some grants and so on. All of this vision is now being realized. Last but not least, the overall unbanning of these particular stablecoins, Circle, right, is in fact a positive development for Jasmy and, of course, for Japan. It is likely to see, like we mentioned, increased liquidity, trading volume, visibility, accessibility, reputation, because, let's face it, honor system, these guys' legacy and reputation is on the line, and credibility, adoption, and of course, just that economic growth that will lead to, for instance, Society 5.0. And that is a big, big deal.